Now active. Yes.
Yeah, it's finished now.
It's finished. Once aeroplane is next time we take a Mama time.
No, the body Cuba what? Go Cuba, the body. One has it. I'm Mandela land.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another epic episode. Welcome to Newsology, another political talk. So I want us to talk about the divisions, that the small cracks that are starting to be visible there in the ANC. So the ANC's Yengeni is calling for the president to step down. So Yengeni said that we will raise this matter with the National Executive Committee that the same day they were supposed to have that meeting.
Because, as I said, to have been vindicated, and want to, I wish that this meeting be physical, not online, so that we can stare each other in the eye and speak facts and the truth to each other. I think we are ready to tell the president to leave.
But it seems like the Yengeni fiction of wanting President Ramaphosa to be out, it will not work because number one, he has no numbers. Whom have you heard from the ANC side who have called out President Ramaphosa in being in a position of being the sellout, right? Because we know that you and I, the meeting that happened there in the US had nothing to do with the ANC, had nothing to do with politics. It all had to do with business. It was like a business transaction in the name of South Africa, and it is very, very now disappointing as an outcome that when President Ramaphosa, as soon as he landed, the ANC, NEC welcomed him as a hero. It was all laughing, joking, and having some good times with the likes of Yengeni, Fikile Mbalula, Jeff Hadebe, and others. You know, one thing that was quite shocking is that Cyril Ramaphosa is now the most famous man in the world, became their hero, and they were so happy to receive him back. So, looking at the dynamics of the numbers, seems that the likes of Yengeni have not yet secured any influence or numbers in terms of mobilizing people who will be calling out the president. And you know, this revolution, it is very interesting because there are a lot of people who are not happy with what the president did in terms of selling the country, using that approach just to sell the country blindly. But now, because you know in the ANC that when you speak against the sitting president, you'll be called to come and assemble in Lutula House come Monday. So what other companies now decide to do is to keep quiet. But let me just promise you, the day of Cyril Ramaphosa will come very shortly. So now it's popular, a week to come, a month to come, all the popularity will be gone, will be the thing of the past, right? So it is very pity now that the ANC comrades celebrate business while it's speaking on behalf of the ANC. While even the people like the pastors, they saw that that meeting went south. There was most things wrong, especially of how the president of South Africa have tried to negotiate this entire saga. Remember that here in South Africa, we normally boast when we speak with other African countries to say that we are the largest economy. South Africa is the most developed economy in Africa. So we represent Africa. But on the contrary, President Cyril Ramaphosa goes there, and this is what he says.
That will take place. The issue of critical minerals is also going to be discussed. We did make it clear to the United States that we have up to 9 critical minerals that they need in this country. And some of them we are now already exporting to them, so they are going to be part of the discussions we want to have, but we want to cooperate with them. But
Ramaphosa told Trump, we have the tiny economy. You say that to America and come back and say you are the giant of Africa. How could you? Right? The pastor asked, how could you say that you are the largest, but you were there? Doing what there? Listen to this, what he said there.
The South African president should have been more prepared. If it was a debate, he already lost. Period.
Yes, sir.
The second thing was, he said several times that, you're a big economy. Our country is a tiny, tiny economy. I thought, you say that in America and you come back to Africa and say, we're giant of Africa? How could you? How could you? How could you do that? They called South Africa tiny, tiny economy. And they're all pleading for help. We need your help for our, I thought, there they go again. South Africa is rich with gold.
Amen, yes, sir.
It's rich with gold
Yes,
and
sir.
diamonds. It's got everything.
Yes, sir.
He forgot all that and said, we're tiny, just tiny. Tiny? Imagine if David said to Goliath, I'm tiny.
Oh, dear.
This showed that Ramaphosa had already lost the argument as soon as he declared South Africa as having the smallest of the economy. He called South Africa tiny economy and now pleading for help. So he was begging for help. You see this picture here? This picture exactly speaks a volume. As much as this picture can preach to you and I that our president is a sellout and a puppet now of the white monopoly capital of South Africa, which now has handed back the power to the West. So this notion of saying every gains that were made by the former administration were reversed, it is truth. Certainly truth. Everything was reversed now. Everything. I never thought that I would see the day shortly after the ANC or South Africa being part of the BRICS nation. And now it goes and bows down to the West. I never thought in a million years that I would see this happening. But now, for the ANC comrade, all this is just fine. Ramaphosa to them is a hero. Because you must understand that these ANC leaders are capitalists. And I like what Nelson Mandela said when he spoke about the ANC, to say that many of us, we don't yet understand that there is nothing that the ANC will keep in the constitution, because it is not a socialist political party, right? So what does that mean? Remember the slogan that said that the people shall govern.
The ANC does not believe in socialism. We are a broad national movement which combines various strands of political thought, ranging from the far right to the extreme left, embracing liberal and conservative views. And if you study our basic policy document, the Freedom Charter, you will find that it is based on free enterprise. And the land, for example, there is no nationalization of the land. And the land is subject to individual ownership. And in actual fact, when the Freedom Charter is applied, when the provisions of the Freedom Charters are applied, capitalism amongst Africans will flourish as never before. I wrote an article in 1956 to this effect, to say private enterprise, when a democratic system is introduced, will flourish in this country as never before. And the only exception is a clause which calls for the nationalization of the mines, the financial institutions, and monopolies. That is done because of the conditions in the country. It's a clause which was actually adopted in the constitution of the present ruling National Party in the 40s. So there is nothing unique in that. There is no element of socialism in the policy of the ANC, whatever may happen in the future.
So in South Africa, it is contrary. The people are not governing. It is a business, it is capital that has the foothold of controlling the economy, of controlling politics, and even other activities that mostly affect South Africa. So when Fikile Mbalula comes, this is what he says. This was the funeral of the deputy president of the Women's League of the ANC, right? Lungi Anite Mganga Bashe. That is the funeral service that you saw there was the first service that Ramaphosa landed on, right? And he had now his speech there. So Fikile Mbalula talked something, just thanking the president of how the hero he is, right? So Fikile Mbalula says that President Ramaphosa is a good lover. Do you understand this now? President Ramaphosa is a good lover. He says that the man is full of love. What is it that you don't understand about that? Why? It is a question. He saved our country from collapsing. Remember what the DA said? He said that if the GNU is not happening, the economy will collapse. Because you understand now the link between the DA and business, and how the business is controlling the economy. So according to Fikile Mbalula, he says that the position and the approach that was taken by President Cyril Ramaphosa was to serve the interest of the capitals. By virtue of doing that, he saved the economy, meaning he is a loving person because he has sacrificed to serve the economy than to let the economy to come down and trembling to ruin. But he has served it according to the ANC, meaning that as long as the ANC follows the likes of the Ruperts, the Trump, West, everything will be fine and it will be in order. But now the big question now that is left on the table is, what about the masses, those who vote for the African National Congress? Because when you look at the Freedom Charter, when you look at the Constitution of South Africa, it does not serve or changes anything. It is more rhetoric, empty promises after empty promises. Nothing the ANC is changing. But by virtue of that, the ANC has now, you must understand this, has become the agent that will have to sabotage the poor while it brings in service for the capitalist. So the imperialism that the ANC agenda is pushing is on another level. Yes, the ANC might still have the majority of the people supporting it. But now, when you check at the Freedom Charter of what the ANC is supposed to be executing, it is not doing even one of the laws which are there. Look at the Constitution. The ANC is even breaking by their corruption all the laws that they're supposed to be the first people to advocate for justice and truth. But they're not doing that. Why? It's because no matter what happens, personally they will benefit because they are serving capital. Those is our politics. This is your president. So can we make now pastors to be in office and take maybe politicians to go and repent in the churches? Because the pastors seems to understand the dynamics of politics and where did our president went wrong. But Fikile Mbalula and his comrades, they are welcoming the president as the hero, celebrating him that he has went there with the people who are not part of government, who were only there to serve their interests and to further their profit. That is what the state of the ANC is today. And let me just remind you, Nelson Mandela understood this quite well. So now as I close, please don't forget you can leave your comment on the section below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Remember, you don't pay anything else, it is free of charge. Until we meet on the next video, and I'm out.